Hey guys, just finishing up brushing my teeth. And, teeth brushing is something that I'm going to go ahead and assume that all of us do twice a day. But why do we spend our time doing that, right? What's the point? Well, in this case, I think the answer is pretty simple. If I don't do that, my teeth are going to get really messed up. I'm going to start feeling some pain in my mouth. And then it's going to cost me a lot of money because I'm going to have to go to the dentist and get all these dental procedures. In fact, actually, my wife got us these power toothbrushes recently, so I've really stepped my teeth game up lately. Anyway, though, I do think asking these kinds of questions are it's a good habit to get into with most things. I'm going to move over into my dining room here. Because in my opinion, your time is your most valuable resource, right? How you spend your time is a really valuable thing. So why not make sure that the things you spend time on are really meaningful and worthwhile in your life? Okay, well, today I'm wanting us to take that idea and reflect it onto social studies, okay, the subject I'm going to be teaching you guys about this semester. And my argument, of course, is that it is valuable, and that's what I hope you'll see. Now, of course, when you do your assignment, I want your honest responses. There's a section towards the end of the assignment where I want you to really let me know the relevance or lack of relevancy you see in it. But I am hoping that I will convince you that it has some relevance, because I really do believe that myself. And, for you guys, of course, you have to go to school. So to a certain extent, you're going to hopefully spend some time on this regardless. But I do think that if you start to see the benefit of this subject, as well as the value that each of your other subjects give, I do think you're more likely to work harder at it, ask more questions, dig a little deeper into the material itself. I know for myself, the more I became convinced of the actual value of the stuff I worked on to my life, I worked harder at it. And I know for me, actually, that was really more like junior year of high school. I was a good student before that, but I think I took it to another level once I really started to care about it. And I really started to learn a lot more from that experience. Hopefully you guys will experience that now in 8th grade and you'll be ahead of the curve. So anyway, so the first half of this lesson and of the first part of your assignment you're going to do is why study social studies, right? What is the point? But real quick before we get into that, I do want to make sure we understand what social studies is, okay? So I'm going to pull up on the share screen a document that will help with that. Okay, so social studies isn't just history. And that's, I think, first of all, really important to know. History is a very important part of it, and it is the sort of vehicle through which we're going to study the other social studies topics. And by that, I just mean we're going to use history to study everything. But within studying history, we're going to look at geography, we're going to look at economics, we're going to look at civics, so on and so forth. Okay, but there are other topics, right? So here are the 5 topics of social studies that we will touch on in various times throughout this semester. Okay, so history, yes, right? We're going to do a lot of history. We're using history, we're reading through history, specifically the U.S. history. And we're going to learn about understanding and thinking about history. But the other 4 are geography, civics, economics, and inquiry. Okay. And in particular, I consider sort of geography, civics, and economics like the 3 vocab words of the day for this lesson. Even inquiry, though, you could say is an important vocab word to be aware of. But I think those 3, especially because they're going to come up a lot this year and next year as well. So it's important that you actually know what those mean. So I just put some very quick definitions, as you can see on this document, and I'll just read them off real quick. So geography, okay, that's like places, landscapes. I don't think I meant to put features. I meant to put cultures. So a little editing on the job there. And so basically you think about like looking at maps, knowing where places are, knowing the impact of the geographical features of that region on the people, on the way the cultures develop, all that stuff, that's geography. So it's about place. Okay, civics, simply put, is about government. You could also add like people's rights and stuff like that. And then economics, that's money, that's business, that's resources. There's a much more complicated way to explain it, but We'll go more in depth about that later on in the semester, but simply put, money and business and how we trade goods and services and so on and so forth. And last of all, inquiry means that you're also going to work on analyzing sources and critically thinking and making arguments. Okay. And that's something I know, especially those with Mr. Parther. I know you guys spend a lot of time on that. So you guys have some background on it. We're going to continue to do more inquiry skills throughout various units this year too. Okay. So I'm going to give you a heads up on the first part of the assignment then. The first part, I have put down like I can't remember 5 or 6 scenarios, and they're scenarios that I came up with in which social studies could end up becoming relevant. Knowing something about one of these 5 topics could be relevant to you later in your life or to any given person. Okay, I want you to read each of the scenarios, and I want you to determine which social studies topic that was related to, right? So if you knew a lot about geography, this would help you with that, or if there's another scenario and you figure out, oh yeah, knowing something about economics is useful for that. You're matching up the social studies categories, the topics with the scenarios. Okay. I am going to go ahead and put this hat on then, and this is my signal for your teacher, or if you're at home, for you to pause the video now. And when I take the hat off, that means I'm moving on to the second part of the video. So just pause it now. Go ahead and do the first part of the assignment. It's called the Social Studies Introduction Assignment. And then when you guys are done, come on back. We can unpause the video. Teachers, you could also let them do the second half at their own pace too. You could have them come back and watch the second half of the video on their own. That's up to you guys. All right, I'm going to sit here for like 5 seconds, let you pause it, and then we'll move on. Okay. I'm going to assume that you guys all got your first part of the assignment done with the scenarios. Hopefully you guys were able to match up the social studies topics to what that person applied, the knowledge and the skills that they applied in that situation in their lives. And then hopefully you did the other questions too. I think I've got 2 extra questions. Sorry, 2 extra questions at the bottom. All right, the second half of the lesson is going to be sort of me getting a sense for what you know already about US history. So I kind of need to know what gaps I might need to fill in throughout the year and stuff like that. I do actually want to pause real quick and make a couple announcements. One is, so far we've got 2 assignments that you guys should have completed. The first day was the 3 things slideshow, so hopefully you got that done. And then the second day, there were 2 things kind of packaged together in one assignment. It was the student info sheet and the worst case scenario assignment. Okay, so at this point, you should be done with those 2. And if not, get on those quickly and get those done. And then I guess other than that, I wanted to remind folks, read directions on the assignments. Okay, I've noticed some people missing some things because I don't think they're reading the directions fully. So it is extra helpful now that we're doing stuff online and you don't always have like a teacher here to answer questions, to make sure you first read everything closely. And the last one is that I will sometimes give you comments back in your assignment. So after you've done an assignment, check it, right? Especially because some of you didn't finish assignments completely. So I've had to write a little comment letting you know, hey, you didn't finish this, do that and then resubmit it. Okay, you might not know that if you're not checking the comments on the assignments that you've done. Okay, cool, we got that done. Let's talk about what you guys know about US history already, okay? And if you had your Chromebook open, if you're in a classroom now, it's a good time to go and close your Chromebook. You won't need it until you start your assignment again. If you're at home, don't close your Chromebook because then you can't watch this video anymore. Okay, so let me pull up one more thing. Actually, I'm just going to scroll down here. So again, I want to know what you already know about US history. Okay, and you can draw on stuff that you learned last year from your 7th grade social studies class. Also, though, if you have other knowledge of the history that you learned other places, put that in there as well. So when you do the assignment, you'll see it on that same social studies introduction worksheet. You'll see it's in the second half. It's the other part of the assignment. And I'll just very briefly explain it, but make sure to read the directions so you get it all when you do the assignment. But the basic idea is that you're pretending you're going into a fourth grade classroom and you're going to give a talk for them, explaining them about US history, right? Not simply just saying the events I've already put on this timeline, but actually saying like, here's what happened, here are the most important things, and here's why it's important, right? You're trying to teach these fourth graders what they need to know about US history, okay? Now you can do this however you want. So one idea I just put on there is that you could make it like a story, right? Where like America is the main character, right? Once upon a time, there was, this ragtag group of people, whatever, however you want to do it. But just think about how, if you're actually trying to talk to fourth graders, how would you make it engaging for them and also understandable to them, okay? And just have fun with it, right? Be creative. I put this timeline up here and I have it on the assignment too, just to give you a little refresher because I know it's been a bit. So you don't have to cover everything on here, but these are some of the big events from, the colonization of this land all the way through World War II. So I didn't go past World War II because I didn't want to throw too much at you. So, we've got the Native Americans arriving and their culture and their experiences on this land. We've got when the Europeans came over and conflicts they had and the genocides and all that stuff with the Native Americans. We've got, I think through the revolution is what you learned. So then you got the American Revolution, where the country decided, we don't want to be a colony of England anymore. Because remember, right, this was originally English people over here and it was still considered a part of England, right? And I think you guys finished right towards the tail end of the revolution last year. And then the rest of the stuff is stuff hopefully we'll get to this year. I don't know about these last couple. If we'll have time, we'll see. But establishing the Constitution, right? And then there's slowly moving west throughout and settling the whole country, okay, westward expansion. There's slavery, the Civil War, Reconstruction. Then there's industrialization, and with that comes a lot of immigration, people moving over from different countries. The Gilded Age is a fancy term for the rise of major corporations and these really wealthy businessmen. And then you got America as a global power, which has to do with the Spanish-American War, World War I, the Great Depression, which is the major stock market crash of 1929, just poverty, upon poverty all across the country at that time. And then World War II, when the United States joined with the Allied forces and fought in Europe. So again, if you don't know much about the rest of this stuff, if you don't have outside knowledge, feel free to make your entire talk to them just about what you learned last year. You can just focus on the Native American culture, when the Europeans came over, all the way through like the American Revolution. But I did want to say that for those of you who know other stuff about US history, feel free to add other stuff to your talk that you're going to be writing as well. Okay, I think that's everything I've got for this particular lesson. So you should have already done the first half of the social studies assignment. Go ahead and finish the second half, in which you will create that little talk showing me what you know about US history. As always, send me messages either through email or through Google Classroom if you have any questions or any issues. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Have a great day.